My name is Johann de Boer. I work for AbilityNet as a usability and accessibility consultant. I have a vision impairment due to albinism, which is a condition that affects my ability to see detail. I'm a Zoomtext user. I use screen magnification, and I'm going to be talking to you about the difficulties that I have in accessing the web. Zoomtext is a screen magnification program. If I switch it on, at the moment got it set to 1.75 times magnification and in reverse brightness. I can change it to other colour settings as well, such as reverse video, and also I can go back to the normal colour scheme. I prefer to have it probably at around 4 times magnification so that I've got a good balance between readability and also being able to get a good idea as to where things are on the screen. So I'm going to change the colour scheme to inverse brightness because that is what I find is better for me because of my sensitivity to glare. I'll show you what I find difficult to use with Facebook. Just log in. Being able to orientate myself around the screen is very difficult at a high level of magnification. Now I've been taken to what it looks like possibly my newsfeed page. So let's get an idea as to what's on the page. So what I need to do is I need to sort of get an orientation as to where I am. So I recognise that this is the top left corner of the page. You see, as a magnification user, the greater the magnification level I'm using, the less of the screen I'm seeing at any one time. If I want to read any of this, typically what I would do is I'd have to scroll across horizontally to get an idea as to be able to read that entire paragraph. But using the mouse a lot is quite exhausting. Using magnification and needing to pan around the screen all the time puts a huge load on my arm and my hand. I would have no doubt that it would put me at greater risk of developing repetitive strain injury. So what I would prefer is if I could reduce the amount of panning. Now, one thing that Zoomtext can do is it's got a built-in reader into Zoomtext, so I can get it to read what's on the page. So for example,
22 minutes ago, comment Neil Tasimi. Rashidi Dalazud Romania is on the road to recovery, or so she thought.
So that's quite helpful. It gives me screen reading capabilities. I don't need to scroll across when that's happening, but it's terribly slow. I don't get the ability that other people get in being able to scan the page very quickly if I'm using that feature. So what can I do? Well, if I try to maybe shrink the window down so that everything will sort of wrap within the page. Well, I've shrunken the window down, but things aren't wrapping. I've still got the text going over the margin of the window. So I need to use the horizontal scroll bar. Now that's not any use because now not only do I need to go down the page and scroll across and then go back up to find and then try and figure out which line I was on. It also means I'm still effectively needing to pan the page, so that's useless. So I'll go back to my maximise screen again, and I'm back to where I was. So I really need a solution to this. What I would really like is some way where it doesn't matter what page I'm on, the text is always going to wrap like it should. What I'm going to do now is show you an example of a page that doesn't put that strain on me to do horizontal scrolling as much as this Facebook page has. Disability Discrimination Act. So here's a link, it's the first one on Google, which is great, straight to the Act. I do need to compromise my ability to be able to read so that I don't become too disorientated. So just trying to get an idea as to where I am on the page. Now normally I would expect the text to begin here. I would expect some type of heading to tell me that I'm at the beginning of the document, but I don't see anything, so I'm not sure where I am. I thought I was being taken to the Disability Discrimination Act. That's interesting. There's some logo there. Okay, here we are. Here's the heading here. So that's been centered. Alright, well that's just the way it is. Okay, it looks like lots of different type of alignment. They've got centered and left aligned, and it's a little bit difficult to use because to go and find the heading I need to scroll over to the center. I don't like this. It's very difficult. It's putting a lot of strain on horizontal scrolling and horizontal panning. So this is an example of a page where I'd go, well look, there's a lot to read in the Disability Discrimination Act, and I want to be able to read it and read it without being in discomfort. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how well this page works if I shrink the window down to the width of Zoomtext, or the magnification view I've got. But having that size text is difficult for me to read. I'm having to guess a lot as to what's written there. So this is not good. So what happens in this case is I sacrifice my posture and I'll start to lean forward towards the screen and read that way, which actually isn't good as well, because then I'm putting a lot of strain on my lower back. So I can bring the screen forward, but you know, the other thing is I do need to buy new glasses, and they cost a lot and I haven't got the money. So you know, if I bring it too close, it's going to be out of focus, and I'm not going to be able to comfortably read for the length of time that I need to be able to go through all the information on this act. So I really need a solution to this as well. Even though this is better than the Facebook page, and it's an example of where text does wrap, it's still not good enough. I really need something that is going to allow me to have complete flexibility as to how the text is wrapped on the page. There are ways around this. I could take all of this information and put it into, say, a notepad window, and then make the notepad window in the size I want. But should I really need to be copying and pasting everything into a notepad, and then having to think about, well, what am I missing out here? What am I going to do about making sure that the notepad document is going to be easy to read and that I can recognise the headings? Formatting is something that's very important when reading, and I'll be missing out on the format if I'm reading a plain text document. So, I mean, Zoomtext does have what they call a doc reader, but it often crashes with a lot of browsers and it's very slow. So obviously magnification isn't the perfect solution, but it does help.
2. Party employment 1. Discrimination by employers 1. 4. Discrimination against applicants and employees 2. 5. Meaning.
Now this is a table of contents. Now unfortunately this is just static text, and I know that on the actual page itself these are actually links within the contents of the act, and so I can't click on these to actually go to those sections. So I actually need to go out and then try and figure out where it was that I was reading and then click on the link. I'd rather just be able to just read it straight from here. Really, if you guys could come up with some kind of add-on to the browser where it's going to make all of the pages, not just these ones that work reasonably well, but everything I look at, be rewrapped so that it doesn't matter what window size I set it to, it's going to fit within the window without having to have horizontal scrolling. I think that would make my life a lot easier.